Welcome to the It's All Fine and Danjee podcast, where hosts Dan and Angie talk with creatives, small business owners, charities, and all kinds of interesting people. It's all real talk. It's all fine and Danjee.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome. We thank you so much each and every week. When you tune in, Dan's signaling me that I'm too close to the microphone.
The mic is hot. The mic is hot.
See, we keep changing these microphones, and it confuses me. I don't know what to do.
You are right. We do change the microphones about every 4 years.
I know. I hate change like that so much. I hate technology change so much. Anyway, guys, we are joined in studio today by somebody that sells some yummy sweet treats here locally. Oh, my gosh. I've been very excited to get you on the show. I think I reached out like a year ago.
Yes.
Like it was a while ago, and then COVID, and then a bunch of stuff happened. And now here we finally have Miss Ashley and Andrew. No, let me revert that. That didn't sound right.
Miss Ashley, Miss Andrew.
Ashley and Mr. Andrew Trinidad.
There you
that
go.
Sounded better. From Coco's Sweet Treats.
Yes, welcome, guys. This is a long time coming, I think. We've talked about it a long time. We've seen you guys a million times at the events, so we're glad you're finally here.
Yes, thank you for having us. We're really excited to be here.
Oh, very nice.
And as we found out beforehand, we have another newbie here. It's your first podcast interview, isn't it?
It is. But I listen to them all day, every day.
Good.
Do you really? Are you like an avid podcast listener just in general?
Yes, anything from Crime Junkie to small business entrepreneurship, anything that I can consume.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's great. Because usually it's like when people do listen to podcasts, it's very much one type. But you sound like me. I'm kind of all over the place. I listen to things about Airbnb and crime, true crime and all sorts of just, I don't think that if somebody looked at, when people try to figure out, or the, rhythms try to, what are they? Algorithms?
To figure out who their target audience is.
Am I saying that right?
You are.
Algorithms?
Algorithm?
Okay, I got it right the first time.
I love it. Angie says at least one word every episode that she pronounces wrong.
Whatever. When they're trying to figure me out, I don't think they can.
I just go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But I do think, and I could be wrong, this is based on my tiny little limited view of this and people I know, but it seems like most of the people I know that like the crime podcast, I think those appeal more to women, just like the crime shows. Like you guys will watch that stuff before bed when I can't watch that stuff.
I totally will.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Bad
exactly
dreams.
right.
Yeah.
I look forward to every Monday when the new Crime Junkie comes out.
Oh my gosh. Well, there was a shirt I almost bought for Angie when I was in New Orleans, but they were sold out of her size, and it said crime shows and comfy clothes. And it was
That's right. I really love the, who done it ones, like the real things that, those real things that happen. Anyway, we're getting off. We're here to talk about sweet treats. Thank you very much.
We always get off kilter. That's okay.
But it's conversation, baby. It's just conversation. But when I say Coco's Sweet Treats, a lot of people might not know what we're talking about. And you really have taken something that's like totally kind of ordinary and turned it into your own. So tell us what the Sweet Treats in Coco's Sweet Treats is referring to.
So Coco Sweet Treats is a gourmet cotton candy company. So when you think of cotton candy, normally you would think of pink vanilla or blue raspberry, typical fair flavors, what you grew up with.
2 colors. That's all we ever had.
That's all you got, except for when you come to Coco Sweet Treats. So we took a childhood treat and we put a twist on it. And now we have over 60 different flavors, ranging from Lucky Charms to Rocket Pop, Pink Starburst, Pina Colada.
I love that you guys have.
Holy moly.
I mean, after our interview with Denny, I sound like a booze hound, but I do love that you guys have flavors that are based on alcohol drinks. That is a cool idea.
I always say that we can definitely find you a cotton candy flavor that you're going to love.
Yeah.
Those ones are definitely more popular with the adults. We have a champagne flavor, which was our very first alcohol flavor. And the kids were like, oh, we want to try it. And we're like, no, that one's the adult flavor. And the parents they loved that they could come up and get something for themselves too. And it was still nostalgic.
So can I be honest with you? I don't really like cotton candy, but she brought some of yours home, and I'm like,
the lavender.
This is like fancy. I mean, it was really good. I'm used to the cotton candy that tastes like
Andrew's
sugar.
Going, yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You're shaking your head. The same thing.
I did not like the original flavor of cotton candy.
Yeah, me neither.
It was not until she made, maple bourbon that I was sold on it.
Maple bourbon.
Oh, I didn't know that was one.
Holy moly, that one sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing. By the way, Andrew, you have an amazing voice for podcasting.
Oh, thank you. I've had a teacher tell me that before.
Holy smokes.
Oh, yeah, he's got that very like deep bravado type voice.
Not the half nasally Ray Romano voice over here like me.
Stop.
But
so Dan says about his voice.
Can we back up a bit though, because you started in 2019 with this. Was this business born from COVID?
Yes, and my boredom during COVID and needing an outlet and being on TikTok way too much.
You know what though? We have seen a lot of that is, because our focus is small business, and there has been so many businesses that are thriving now that were born out of that.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was boredom, or it's like, well, now I have the time. Let me go ahead and do this. But what made it cotton candy? Why cotton candy, Ashley? Why cotton candy? And what made you think, oh my gosh, I could do so many flavors of cotton candy? Because I never would have thought that.
I wouldn't either.
It takes a creative mind.
So it was really boredom. I mean, we were on 8-9 months into the pandemic. And we had just moved into our new house and we were just sitting there. There wasn't a whole lot that we could do. At the time I worked at a bank. I had exited hospitality because
couldn't be
COVID.
there. Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be there. That was what my background was in. And we, one day I was just scrolling through TikTok, mindlessly scrolling, because what else are you going to do during the pandemic?
There's only so many cards or books or TV shows you can watch.
And I ended up on like the baking side of TikTok for whatever reason. And I can't bake to save my life. And I was watching like baking Netflix shows and whatnot. But then I scrolled past this girl who made cotton candy. And I was like, man, I haven't had cotton candy before.
You haven't had it before?
No. So I'm sure I had like a taste here and there when I was younger, but my parents didn't allow me to have it. Like sugar wasn't a huge thing in our house. Like,
so they were smart parents, basically.
Yeah. So you guys all have nice, perfect teeth as you're an adult now, where the rest of us have had to get them all replaced and filled. I got you.
Shout out. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
So I was scrolling past, found this video, and I'm like, man, that looks really cool. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, oh man, I really miss events. Maybe one day I could do that. And then I kept scrolling, and then another video came up, and it was like kind of that repetitive thing that I was like, okay.
And so the universe was telling you something, Ashley.
So then I went down a rabbit hole with it, and I ran out to the couch, and I'm like, okay, bear with me, Andrew. I'm like, I think I want to buy a cotton candy machine. And he goes, what is wrong with you?
I said no originally.
Yes. And I was like, oh man, that really stinks because I'm going to do it anyways. And like 3 days later, a cotton candy machine shows up.
I hear a knock at the door. I don't know.
Hello, Amazon.
I'm not expecting anyone because, it's the middle of COVID.
That's not like a little box either.
Oh, no. The box, it's probably 3 feet cubed. So it's 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet.
So mind you, it wasn't like one of those little starter cotton candy machines, was it? You went all in? Okay.
Yes, like a $400 cotton candy machine right off the bat.
You got to do it right if you're going to do it, right?
Yeah. I got the pre-made sugars with it because I was like, there was no intention of making my own flavors. Right. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm just going to play with this.
You're just going to make cotton candy.
I am. And then I poured the pre-made sugars in it, and I'm like, I hate this. Yeah. This is terrible. I'm super let down. So I have a culinary background, and I started looking into it, and I'm like, how do you make cotton candy sugar? I'm like, what is it made out of? How do we go about this? I figured out the main ingredients. And then I bought like 50 of the different flavorings. I mean, we did not.
So another box shows up.
We did not ease into this at all. It was like full send, like 0 to 100.
Just one box.
You know what, though? Can I tell you that, and for like the podcast stuff or whatever, I was exactly the same way, where it was like buying all the good stuff right away.
As soon as I said podcast, it's like all these boxes.
The room filled up with stuff. Yeah. But I love that. And I did read on your website that you guys make your own sugar, but I didn't realize that literally means you make your own sugar. You're not buying sugar and flavoring the sugar. You're making your own sugar.
Oh, no. We buy the sugar from the bags and then we flavor it. So we have different recipes that we've come up with, different things that we know what to mix. I can't give all those details, but
hold on, let me get a pen.
You just found that the prepackaged stuff just wasn't the consistency. It probably wasn't, spinning as easily.
Is it
talking like I know how to spin cotton candy?
Is it like recipes that you find, or is it like trial and error where you're testing and tasting, or is it both?
Do it.
Listen. So
I'm listening.
Granted, at the time I was running my own small business, so I was outside all the time. I'd come home. It would smell like the Yankee Candle Factory in my house.
Oh, that sounds amazing, though.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Even a little overwhelming.
Yeah,
but
to the senses, right?
Yes. But it's, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's a lot of trial and error.
Well, I was going to say, were you one of the taste testers?
Yes, but we've run into some issues with that.
Yeah. So
what? Because your tastes are different, or
a little bit of that. But recently we had a peach flavor, and the thing is, neither of us like peaches.
Oh, that's a hard thing to do.
So that is hard, yeah.
It is, and I don't like saying no to people. So when I first started mixing flavors, it was a lot of trial and error. There wasn't anything that you could find online about the ratios and whatnot.
Right.
I was figuring out how many tablespoons per cup, like this and that, and you would get that one off batch where if it's too strong, it's kind of like a bite on your tongue, and it ruins it for like an hour. You've got to walk away and you've got to come back.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have a palate cleanser or something that or just it's there?
It's there.
Because sugary stuff like that like cotton candy kind of settles in.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. So
you can't just take a sip of coffee or smell it something. Yeah.
So it was a lot of trial and error. And I would go into the bank because I was a banker and a teller. And I'd go into the bank and I'd have these little tiny, cheap, flimsy deli containers, not the ones that I have now. And I would write the flavor on the bottoms of them. And then at our morning meetings, I would be like, okay, I need y'all to taste these. And so then I'd have 5 and I'd make them guess what flavors they were. And most of the time they were able to nail it head on. And so then I started having clients that would ask like, hey, my grandkids are coming into town. Can I get this? And we were like, oh yeah, I can do it. And at the time it was still just out of our house. Like it was a cottage food operation, but I wasn't really selling it. It was just, I was giving it away as gifts. I was like, oh, this is a really cool pastime. It wasn't until we started kind of coming out of the pandemic in Florida where events were starting to open back up and whatnot. And my mental health wasn't the best. I hadn't been around people. I mean, we couldn't even have people in the bank with us. I was doing loan closings, standing outside of people's cars. And I just missed that people interaction.
Yes.
And I missed hospitality. That was what my passion was. That's what my degree was in. And so I came to him and I'm like, we're going to start doing events. And he goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to start doing events.
Don't you love all these things you're told?
Listen,
Andrew?
it just happens. We pray for the best.
And our first event was in Eustis, and I made like a total of $30. I didn't even make my vendor fee back, but we met the best people at the end of the night,
Oh, this
Jesse
is
and
so
Katie
relatable.
from Ground Up Coffee.
Yeah.
And I loved how whenever you handed a kid a cone, they were so excited and they'd come up and they'd be like, oh, I want blue. And I'd be like, but I have Lucky Charms. And they'd be like, what? And we're like, yeah. And so it started from there. The permitting was ridiculous because the Department of Agriculture had the exact same kind of reaction that Andrew did, where they were like, you're going to do what now? And I'm like, oh, it's just cotton candy. And they're like, no, it's not just cotton candy. You make your own sugar. This isn't like you're buying something and putting it in the machine.
Yeah, but let's go back to that for a minute, though, because as I was saying, make your own sugar, and I misunderstood. You're really just buying sugar and adding flavor. So why did they have an issue with...
Because it's different elements then it's like, oh, you've got to write what's on it because somebody has a food allergy. It's all that jazz. That's what I'm assuming anyway.
So whereas the prepackaged sugar is made in a commercial kitchen and they're subject to food regulations and whatnot, there's no way to determine what I was doing if I was doing it out of my house. And if I was going to go to events and I was going to sell it that way, it needed to be completely over the table. They needed to be able to come inspect me. They can't do that in the house. So we ended up having to find a commissary kitchen that we now have to rent out monthly. We had to get a mobile food permit. We had to make sure that we had the right setups. I mean, there were a lot of boxes to check.
So it was a lot more than just, we're going to do events, Andrew. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
But I mean, I guess trial by fire, you became sort of specialists on how to do all this in a rush.
Yes, I think the time that I started the permitting process to the end of it took about 2.5 months. And it was because I was calling every single day, like, where are we at with this? Am I good? Because I wanted to be into events by November, December, because that's what I enjoyed. I was still working full time during the week. I still am, but that's what filled my cup on the weekends. And we really enjoyed doing it. And there's no better feeling than people smiling when they're like enjoying your product and whatnot. That's why we really do it. I mean, it creates a sense of community, gives people something that they look forward to. And you don't ever see anybody that's sad while eating cotton candy.
Oh, this is, you have the philosophy I have with chocolate chip cookies. I always say no one's ever got a frown when they're eating. And it's the same goes for cotton candy.
And what
too.
a unique thing to find at a vendor event, though. Like you're used to seeing it maybe at a circus or, a theme park or something. But when, the kids are walking around with their parents, there's not usually a lot for them. It's more geared towards adults, right? And then there's the cotton candy lady. My gosh. I can just imagine the little faces that you see come running up to you.
No doubt. And as the adult in that scenario, to find out what they have pina colada, what they have maple rum or whatever you said. It's like
maple bourbon.
Bourbon. That is amazing. And just to kind of touch for a minute on your sort of, you said your mental health wasn't good. I don't think any of our mental health was good during all of that. And what we sort of found from like the podcast was meeting people and like really becoming friends with the people that we've had on from the show became more valuable than any other aspect of it. We started it to get involved in community, but now the way you described that kind of made me think of how and maybe it's because we were all starved for normal human connection during COVID, that having the opportunity to go out and go to events and meet people and meet new people, I feel like that I can definitely relate to what you experienced there. And then you get to tap on, you're giving them a treat. You're seeing everybody super happy because they're having their cotton candy. It seems like it started, even though you weren't making money, it started as a very positive thing for you. And when you're starting a small business and you're not making money, it's hard to say that it was a positive thing if you're not making money normally, right?
It is. And honestly, I mean, Andrew can tell you, when I first ran out to the couch, I don't think that either one of us would imagine that it would be where it was at now. Like when I started doing events, I was like, oh, this will be cool to do like 2 or 3 times a month. Now we'll have like 12 events a month.
Oh, that's amazing.
I had a kid a couple weeks ago that ran up to me at the grocery store. His mom's like, no, come back. And he looks at me and he goes, do you have any cotton candy? And he was like, it's the cotton candy lady. And I'm like, I'm like, that's what I'm known for now. And I'm like, but there's a lot worse things to be known for. And that fills my cup. And I know that Andrew gets excited when we're at events and seeing his face. He loves it when people ask like, what's your favorite flavor? And he'll be like, my favorite's Lucky Charms, but we don't have it here today. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like,
but you can order it.
Yeah.
Yes. Place your order right now.
But
is that your favorite for real?
Oh, Lucky Charms, hands down.
I'm going to have to try it.
It was actually like in the first 10 flavors that we made.
It was.
I was going to say, how many flavors did you come up with in what amount of time? Like, were you just being very experimental where you were just like, I got to try everything? Did you want to come to the events with a lot of flavors?
Oh, that was a learning curve. So my mentality at the beginning was we're going to take everything that I can create to an event. And so we had like 15 to 20 flavors and people would get decision paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd be like, it's a lot at once. So now we try to narrow it down to like 5 or 6 flavors per event. And I try to cycle them out. But I don't say no to people. So which is terrible.
You have to learn how to do that too.
I do. But like we had one event, what was it, last year, I think at Brown & Brown Farms. And this mom came to me and she had a daughter and she was a teenage daughter. So she was like, she's very moody and like had that whole attitude with it. And she emailed me that night and was like, my daughter all the way home did nothing but talk about your cotton candy. And she's like, it is the first time that my daughter has really talked to me on that level in months. And she goes,
oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, and I'm sitting there like crying while I'm reading this because I'm like, that's what that's for. And I remembered that family specifically. And she goes, I know that this is insane. She goes, but her favorite Skittles are the orange Skittle and the purple Skittle. She goes, do you think that you can make orange and purple Skittle flavored cotton candy for her birthday in like 3 weeks? And I was like, yes.
Then starts the experiments.
And then Andrew was like, do you even know what color, like, do you know what flavors those are? And I'm like, I'm going to Google it and I'm going to figure it out. Yeah. And I didn't nail it until the day before I had to deliver it. I was like down to the wire, had tried it so many times, was getting so frustrated, and I had to keep walking away. And we met up. She had them for the party. And the next day I followed up. And of course, I'm like nervous. I try to follow up with everybody. Yeah. And I was like, so how did it go? And she goes, she said it was the best thing she's ever tasted. She's like, she was so happy. She was handing it out to all of her friends. And I was like, that's why we do that.
That is awesome. Well, what's the process of that though? Is it you taste the Skittle and then you're using your ingredients to try to mimic the flavor?
Yes.
Because you're not just like melting the candy or something like that. Okay.
No. I'm trying to mimic the flavor, and sometimes it's the most random things that you're like, oh, this really doesn't taste right. And then you add like one ingredient that you're like, oh, maybe that'll cut it a little bit. And then it tastes perfect. And you're like, oh, I don't remember what I actually mixed to make that happen.
That's what I was just going to ask that. Now, did you write that down or did you record yourself while you were doing it?
We just had this conversation with a chef because Angie does that. She'll make a meal. And like when the kids were all here, it was like, that was the best meal ever. And she's like, I'll make it again. And it wasn't the same meal when she made it again.
Never. So it's one and done for me, baby. It's one and done. Like, enjoy it. It's a unique experience.
I think we're soul sisters on that because I use recipes as a guideline. Like it's not going to happen again.
I get it. But when you're running a business, you have to be able to mimic your recipe.
So that was probably a learning curve as well for you, right?
It was. Still, things aren't written down, to be honest. So I need to get better at that. It's all up here in my mind. But we do have over 60 flavors, and I am pretty good at being able to
figure it out.
It is. It's the only time that my boredom has probably ever come in like handy as an advantage because I'm like, oh, well, I've got all these different ones. What happens if I mix this and this? And so
that is really cool. So I want to go back to the events. So you decided, okay, we're going to do 2 to 3 events a month. This is really fun. It gets us back in the community. We get to talk to people again. Thank God. Right. But how was the growth with that? Like, walk us through the process of, okay, 2 a month, 3 a month. And like, how fast was it? Yeah.
And what do events mean, though? I mean, were they like markets? Were they private events? Were they both to start with?
Markets.
Right. I figured.
We started doing events in July.
Oh, the heat of the summer, baby.
Yeah, I know. And that's a whole thing, especially with the weather down here in Florida.
Yeah.
But I think we started in July. First 4 months, we did like 3... maybe
no. Come October, November, we were doing 5 or 6 events
in a month. Okay,
that's already busy with a regular job on top of it.
Yeah,
because it's your weekends. That's when events are.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's your weekend,
and you're obviously doing multiple events in some of the same weekends if you're doing 5 or more, right?
Yes. So honestly, it really picked up. We were doing good at events in July and August and September. We did good. There was one event in, I think it was October. It was a Whimsy Market event, and it was out at Sensational Farms. And Andrew was doing his other job, and so my mom had to go with me. And my mom's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be the cashier. It'll be fine." And
I felt so bad.
Okay. Oh my gosh. We got there. The first 20 minutes, 30 minutes for us is usually slow for events. If you ever don't want to wait in line, that's the time to come. Because it's the beginning of the event. Parents want their kids to eat lunch first, then you can have dessert.
Right.
Our philosophy is dessert first, but
same.
We'll digress. But after that first initial 30 to 45 minutes, we got a line. And that line was about 20 people deep for the rest of the 3.5 hours.
Wow.
And my mom is just sitting there and she goes, "What the heck's happening?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I just...
You had enough product, which is great, by the way. You didn't run out?
So I ran out of tubs, but I didn't run out of sugars. But the machine was not keeping up that fast. I mean, my arms were done. Like,
you got a workout in that day.
At the end of that day, Andrew had come to help us break down. And my mom was like, it has been nonstop all day. I feel terrible for her. And I literally just collapsed on the ground.
So a stupid question, because I never watched anybody make cotton candy. Are you having to move your arms around in the machine or something?
You like twirl it.
Yeah,
right?
well, I sit there. Your arms are just kind of, I don't even know.
They're like
not gonna be able to see me.
It's like
we're only audio now for those of you listening, and that's all of you now. We all have our arms up.
We're all putting our arms in weird positions.
Right. It's like, imagine rotating, like imagine spinning your wrist while you're twirling your fingers.
Oh my, yeah, because you're going like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even do that.
Okay. What is it, like a stick or something?
It is. It's a little cone. But your your shoulders are tense the entire time because you need to hold them up. So it'll be at the end that you'll feel it, like in your shoulders and your back. And you're
pretty much numb the rest of the time.
It is. And for events,
wow,
there's like adrenaline, and I just go and I go on autopilot and I don't stop.
Of course, yeah.
But that was like the first of the events that and then after that we just started having a line, and I would tell Andrew every single time, I'm like, at the end I'd just break down crying. And it wasn't because I was overwhelmed, it's because I just felt so grateful and so blessed, because when I go into an event, and I still have the same philosophy, I never expect a certain outcome. I never expect that we're going to sell out. I never expect that we're going to have a line the entire time. I never take that for granted. I go in with the mentality of, if I meet a couple people today that like my product and that follow me and that I just make their day a little bit better, it's a win.
Well, you're having humility too. And I think you're keeping humble, and I think that's good.
And and that's what we try to keep at the forefront of Coco's at all times. We're here for the community. I truly think that if you take care of the community, they'll take care of you in return.
Oh,
and
amen.
We have found that event after event after event. I mean, after that, we started getting event requests. Hey, can you come do my birthday party? Can you come do our wedding? Can you come do...
I was going to ask where that started falling in, because was it a customer that requested, or did you come up with it?
It was a customer that
requested. You couldn't say no.
No, not at all.
And that's how that was born. Private events.
So, and they're great because you connect one-on-one, but my heart and soul is with markets. I love markets. I love being around people.
Yeah.
I loved the wedding that we did last month. It was at Hard Rock, Orlando. It was beautiful.
Oh, we were just there. We love it there.
We were just there for the Halloween party.
It was amazing. But as we move into 2023, there will be different aspects of Coco's where we're going to continue doing markets, because that's where my heart and soul is. But we are looking to bring a couple people on board to be able to do those private events, because people do want you to do their birthday parties and their weddings. And those tend to fall on the same days as markets. So.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about the transformation as far as your setup. Because, you started with your little tent and your little table, right? But you've recently added something really cool to your setup. So describe what you got, because it is so cool.
Thank you. So back last December, after we had Light Up Ocala, Light Up Tavares.
Oh, Light Up Ocala,
we didn't do Light Up
crazy.
All the light ups.
Oh my gosh.
Big shout out to the water and sanitation department at Light Up Ocala. Light Up Ocala was probably our biggest event last year, and it just came out of nowhere. We were not expecting it. We were set up on a side street. They set up the water and sanitation department next to us.
Weird. Okay.
For their little booth.
Okay.
And, super nice. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but we had a line that was 45 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
This is like a Disney.
Hours.
That is amazing.
This is like a Disney ride. Holy moly, guys.
She said it was the first time that she ever gave out all of her marketing materials. I would look over and she would be telling the kids not to flush their Hot Wheels toys down the toilet. And the kids, you can tell, are just like, I'm just standing in line for cotton candy.
Cotton candy.
She had a captive audience for 6 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's pretty amazing though.
We started spinning before the event happened, but after all of those events, the amount of times that we got rained on, the amount of times that the wind picked up.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
In the tent.
Yes.
You have to hold it down.
And with having the electrical, it became a whole thing. And then there were some events that we were doing 2 events in one day. And I drive a little Elantra. So we got that car is packed. We got the tent in it, the machines in it, the hand washing station.
I used to do that in my Civic. A tent would go out both the windows. It'd just sit out both
Luckily,
windows.
if you have a 2018 Elantra, you can fit a tent in the trunk.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
You can, but it was
Kind
just
Barely.
You're still getting wet at events. Your stuff's blowing down.
Yeah.
It is, and we were trying to figure out how we go bigger with this. How do we differentiate ourselves so that we're not just like everybody else? Not like
Right.
there's a ton
We're
of
not
us
just
around.
2 random people with a cotton candy
yeah.
machine.
Yeah. And so I started looking online for food trailers. I had seen a couple of small ones that you could pull behind a car. I was like, oh, those things are cute. And then when I started reaching out to people, they were like, yeah, no, we're not accepting orders, because it was December of 2021 and all the supply chain issues.
Oh, crap.
Oh, wow. Timing again.
It was terrible, but we did find one company. The price was right. It was a cute little round food trailer. It's big enough for just Andrew and I to be in it. So it's not huge. It's manageable. It's perfect for what we need. And they were able to do it just white, no logo or anything on it, so that I can put the logo on and off as I want, so that it's good for weddings. But we ordered it in December. It was supposed to be here 2 weeks before the week of the 4th of July. We just got it the week that Hurricane Ian came through, because I couldn't even insure it. It took forever to get it, but when we did get it, it's perfect and it's cute. And the amount of times at events, they're like, that's so unique and it's so cute.
It adds to the draw.
It
for
is.
Sure.
It's very
It
red.
does.
So when you guys check out Coco Sweet Treats website or their Facebook page, social media, you're going to see it's like a kind of little retro looking teardrop, one of those campers almost, those little teardrop campers. That's what it reminds me of.
Yes, that's the perfect way to explain it.
Yeah.
We actually wanted to get an Airstream.
Oh, well, I don't blame you.
then-
Doesn't everybody?
The issue was, whenever we looked into the pricing, it was like, okay, well,
If you'll have it forever.
60 grand, but
Do
Plus
we want
it's-
to eat or do we want the trailer?
I was
Like,
gonna
which
say,
one?
plus, it's not going to come. I mean, like the trailer that you ordered, do you have to mount everything in it, like the sink, or is it all just big empty shell and you can move things around in there?
So the company that I bought it from worked with me to completely build it out. So they actually even
That's
cut
amazing.
a hole in the counter for the machine to just fit down into. We worked together because I didn't need a grill or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just needed something that was basically shelter for us, had a hand washing station, and then had a place that I could store stuff. And I mean, it's helped exponentially because we can fit so many more tubs of cotton candy, because that was a big issue, is we were running out of tubs every event. And it was like, I've packed everything that I can. It seemed like we were running
we were
out all
even
the time.
putting it on our laps and
Yes.
Oh, that is too
Well,
funny.
I have a question about that in general. So you're doing you're spinning it and giving it away on or selling it on sticks. I don't say giving it away; there'll be a longer line.
Don't just give it away.
But then you
Pay
also
for it.
have these little containers with like lids on them. So you must make some ahead of time, or do you package those? Do you show up with those already sealed and ready, in addition to the stuff that you make live?
Yes. So that came about because when you go to the fair, they have the big bags of cotton candy. And I looked at those, and number one, the shelf life on those are terrible because they're not airtight at all. You either sell it that day or it's gone. And
It's not even airtight that day.
No, it's really, there's just air in it.
yes, and it's a single-use plastic. And
Yeah.
I was like, I do not want to be using single-use plastic for this.
Yeah.
So the best way to describe them is they're like the deli containers when you go to the Chinese restaurants and they give you the wonton soup.
Oh yeah,
It's like those.
Yeah.
They're
And they
really nice.
seal
heavy
very
duty,
well.
Yes.
snap-on lids.
Microwavable, can put them in the fridge. So we prepackage
as long as
them.
you take the sticker off.
Yes.
And take the cotton candy out before you microwave it, right?
Yeah. Yes. Don't microwave it.
Cotton candy.
No, please don't. But they last for about 3 to 4 weeks, and that way, as long
fresh.
as
You mean? Yeah.
Yes. And
so that's a value to your customers too, because maybe they don't want to eat it right away. Like we kept the lavender one because I can't eat a whole thing of cotton candy, but it's a nice little sweet. When you got the sweet tooth, you just grab a little bit in the pantry, and then that kept it really fresh. And I think we had it in there for a couple weeks.
But that to me is more appeal to the adults too, because even like when my kids were younger, get them a cotton candy, but I don't want that stuff all over me while we're out here. I would get one to go if they had such a thing back then and eat it later when I can wash my hands right after. So that's very clever. You show up with a bunch of your flavors already packed and ready to go, and then you make the ones live. Is it the same flavors that are packaged as the one? Oh, it is. Very cool.
But like Lucky Charms. I know I keep going back to Lucky Charms.
Because he's trying to tell you people, get Lucky Charms.
It has the dehydrated marshmallows in it. Mm-hmm. We've done...
oh, wow. Is it both ways, in the tub and when you make it?
Not whenever we make it on a cone.
I was going to say, how could you?
Only in the tubs. The tubs, you get so much... First off, you get more cotton candy in the tub.
And you can get super creative with toppings and things.
Yeah.
So I'm super extra when it comes to that kind of stuff. So Rocket Pop has Pop Rocks in it.
I was going to ask about the Pop Rocks.
That is cool.
It has Pop Rocks in it. We have some Christmas flavors, holiday flavors coming out here soon. And I just sent them off to get photographed with Allie Law this week. But we have like a cookies and cream one that has crushed up Oreos in it. And
that's how you do that. I was wondering because I read on your website like sprinkles and Pop Rocks and forget what the other thing was, but I was wondering how you do it. So you just put it on top of it in the bin, in the tub rather. Very cool.
But then you scoop it up with the thing.
It gives it a nice texture. We just had a corporate order that went out this morning and they did s'mores. So we did crushed up graham cracker and then chocolate sprinkles in it too.
Oh, that is really cool. So speaking of your photos, I wanted to comment on your website because your website is beautiful. It's like it screams cotton candy when you look at your
color
website.
Palettes and all. Are you a graphic designer? Did you do the site or did you have somebody else do it?
So the website, I had a friend from college. She helped me.
Okay.
The photos were done by a brand photographer, Amelie Orange, out in Longwood. She's amazing and she specializes just with brands. And then for the website, Allie did it. I came up with all the content and she formatted it for me because I was getting frustrated. But like anything with being a small business owner, like you guys know, you learn everything from the ground up. You teach yourself everything. I'm not a graphic designer, but I've listened to so many podcasts and I'm not a professional by any means, but I do all of my own marketing and I do all of my own branding because you don't want to pay somebody else to do that. And who knows your brand better than you.
Yeah.
Indeed. But I'm going to tell you, as a sort of a techie person that goes to many small business websites and you're like, oh no, well, I need to reach out, not to be judgy, but just like to help the business. It looks really professional, really nice. So I was very impressed too.
Yeah, the color palette, it definitely speaks cotton candy. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Definitely does.
And it looks very professional. How do you guys come up with ideas for additional flavors? Or have you now just said we're locked in to the ones we have for now?
I think we have enough. Never.
We will never have enough. It's just like the other day, whenever I was driving around the other day and I just stopped, shot her a text, and I said, hey, I want to make a reindeer blend flavor.
I was going to say Christmas flavors would be cool.
Christmas flavors are so much fun.
Pumpkin spice cotton candy.
Oh, we have a pumpkin spice. We have s'mores. We have green candy apple with nerds, which those will be at the Apopka event on the 19th.
Oh, cool.
I have to try the pumpkin spice for sure.
I'll set you one aside. And then we'll also have our holiday flavors. I can't go into all of those right now because those will be announced before the 18th.
Yeah.
But we do seasonal flavors for summer, winter, Christmas. This year we'll have a Grinchmas blend one.
That's really smart to not make
sticker.
them available all year so that people are kind of looking forward to that during the seasons. And I do want to tell everybody, I've noticed this on your social media. You warn people, hey, pre-order now because it's going to be gone by the time you get there. Like, tell me what you want, pay for it. I'll set it aside. I got your order for you when you come up. Because a lot of times you're running out at events. So people need to get their order in for their special flavors.
You were thinking about cotton candy, weren't you?
It breaks my heart whenever we run out, and I try so hard to make sure that we don't, but it doesn't always work. So you can always shoot me a message, and I'll set aside yours for you at an event. We're going to be having pre-orders for Christmas come up, and you'll be able to pick them up at our events prior to Christmas for stockings, for your coworkers.
Oh, another benefit of the tubs.
Yeah.
Yes, we do tons of corporate orders with the tubs for employee appreciation. So
I love that. Like do you guys deliver as well?
We do deliver.
Like shipping to places yet? Or is it just mostly...
We're working on it.
You're working on the shipping part. Okay.
Cotton candy is extremely delicate. So you're...
Moisture, anything like that.
Shaking it too much.
In a warehouse. Yeah, you can't have all that.
Okay.
So, and it's extremely expensive if you're trying to 2-day it, especially right now.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of people that we're testing it out with right now, but I'm not confident enough to be like, yes, I'm going to ship it to you.
You just said something that's interesting to me. Shaking it can actually mess it up.
Yes, the vibrations, because it's literally just fluffed out sugar.
And it'll become crystallized again, right?
Yes.
Is that what it does?
Okay.
So you have something on your website that I have never heard of before. It's called Glitter Blast. And I need to know what this is because it looked like it was pouring into a drink, like a adult drink. And it looked fun.
So we do them. They don't have to just go in an adult drink. Kids like them
they do
too,
here,
but
Ashley.
Yes.
They do here.
You are correct. Our friends at Top Shelf Bartender use them at some of their events that they do. But it is a cotton candy little poof, and it has edible prism glitter that's completely FDA approved. I make sure that we get the really nice glitter. And you drop it into your favorite carbonated beverage. So usually it's champagne, Prosecco, stuff like that. And it releases an edible prism glitter. I can do any color of the rainbow. For Christmas, we do like a red and green set that's called Naughty or Nice. And you don't know which one you're going to get.
Cute.
And you drop them in the drinks. And it's just a way to elevate your event, or even just like a random brunch with the girls on Sunday night. So we get them for bridal showers, baby showers, for gender reveals.
That's brilliant. I love it.
So just something a little bit extra. Kids, some parents will get them for their kids' birthday parties and drop them into Sprite. So
yeah, so cute.
We thought we had this idea before you got here, like, oh, you could take some of the cotton candy and put it in a drink, and you've already thought of it. So that's cool.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, how are you partnering up with other vendors that you've met to kind of elevate their experience or elevate your experience?
So we have a couple of vendors. We've done like a very exclusive flavor for Tribal Acres that only they're allowed to resell it. And
is it bacon?
No, it's blood orange.
Okay.
We're working on an exclusive flavor with, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but with Lacey DeMoss. She's working on one for something that she has in the works.
So cool.
If your business comes to us and is like, hey, we want to create an exclusive flavor, we're like, okay, sounds good. What do you want it to be? And we go from there.
So you guys have become sort of pros at this. I mean, I know it sounds like you experiment, but you can do it. That's the whole thing.
I am going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Given enough time.
Ashley does not say no.
We don't say no to anything.
It is going to happen.
I love
That's
that.
not okay. We do say no to some things. I'm not driving out of state.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's clarify, guys. We're staying local. We're staying somewhat local here. Okay.
I will say the first birthday party that we did do, we're located in Eustis, Florida. Mm-hmm. She was like, hey, Andrew, I have a birthday party. They requested it. I said yes. If you guys don't know Ashley, she's not the best map reader.
Oh.
She's not a cartographer.
No.
Angie refuses to do maps. She'll do the turn by turn on the app, but she won't look at the map.
I hate looking at the map. I need the directions.
I have no sense of direction, like none whatsoever.
She was like, hey, Lake Wales. We're in Lake County. Lake Wales can't be that far away.
I don't know where Lake Wales is.
It is. It's the other side of Orlando, past Celebration, past all that.
That's still not too bad.
And then
though.
you hop on
Could have been like
27
Miami or something.
and go another hour south.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So
it's
it
a
is
little bit
pretty
of a
far.
drive.
We had a nice date night afterwards.
There you
it was
go.
okay.
Yeah.
Like you make the best of what you got. Like,
You got to
Indeed.
explore a new
It was a
location.
big learning experience because we
Yeah.
couldn't forget anything because we weren't going to be able to drive back for it.
Yeah.
Well, that is so exciting. I mean, it just seems like it's kind of like trucking along and, it's really growing. And
I'd love to hear the success as far as the lines and everything. How great is that? It seems like that was very early on. It was like that.
it was. And we're still learning to kind of grow and adapt with it because I'm very much one of those people that I hate inconveniencing other people. So
same.
whenever you wait, I'm always like, thank you so much for your patience with us. Thank you so much for your patience with us. And I feel like a broken record, but I mean, I truly thank you. Thank you for waiting. You didn't have to. You could have gone to a million other tents. You could have just said, nope, we'll get
Look at that
McDonald's
line.
on the way
Right.
home.
Yeah.
You didn't have to wait, but you did. And so I'm so grateful for it every single time.
I think it comes down to your hospitality background. So the customer service is there, the quality of the product is there, and you're delivering every time when you're there as far as the experience that people are having when they come to your tent. So that's why they're coming back.
Yeah.
That warms my heart. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to tear up. But yes.
But seriously, because they wouldn't come back if you were not engaging or just not thanking them or, you know what I mean?
Just hammering them out.
Or
Go,
acting
go,
irritated
go. Yeah.
because it's, July and it's 106 and you're selling cotton candy and you know what I mean? So it's definitely, it's all of that put together. That's why people keep making those lines like they're at Disney World.
Our tagline is that it's the sweetest cotton candy experience in Central Florida. When you come up, you're not just getting a product, it's an entire experience. And when you're in front of us, you're the only person that matters at that point. I mean, we had at Boo Fest last year, the city of Taveri shut the lights out on us because we went 45 minutes past the time we were supposed to.
Gosh.
But I still had a line and they were waiting and we were
you weren't
not
gonna
going
shut
to
them down.
not serve them if they waited that long.
And that
We always feel bad having to cut off the line.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, we got to go home sometime, guys.
But we are
Like a cone you go put behind the last person.
I do think that I bribed my youngest brother, though. He's going to walk up and down the line selling prepackaged to kind of help out for the light up events
And
this
thin it
year
out,
and whatnot.
I think that's great.
Because with just the two of us, we can't get from behind.
Just have a
the
swiper
table.
or something
Right.
that he can just do.
Yep.
You also have another tagline.
On the website.
Yeah, life is short. Let's make it sweet. I love it. Did you guys come up with all the little sayings and everything?
I mean, that one came from a song somewhat. But that one came out of the pandemic. That one came out of when everybody was kind of sad. You just wanted something sweet, something.
Yeah.
And that seemed to tie it up with a bow.
I think it really did. So what's next for you guys? I mean, lots of events, obviously.
200 more flavors, probably.
It's the next big thing.
We're talking about having shirts for each season so you can buy Coco's merchandise.
I love that
I
idea.
do too.
This past Halloween, October-ish feel, we had our Coco Swedish treats with the Stranger Things logo.
Oh, I saw that shirt.
Yes.
I remember
And
you
Dan
guys
even
wearing
commented on that. He's like, I love the font on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did customized labels for it. For Tubs in October, you got that customized label. So we are working on kind of more merchandise so that you can wear your favorite brand. It's a slow process. We're expanding out to Orlando. We have some applications in for some pretty big events out in Lake Eola for next spring. And we're looking to hire a couple of people to come work with us.
Oh, what a great sign, though.
So
Yeah.
we're taking it day by day. We want to get through the season and kind of see where that's at and then take a vacation and then reevaluate in January of 2023.
Yes, you have to have the R&R, definitely.
Yes.
Really, and then it kind of makes you want to come back to it and you're revived and ready to, you just, when you're on vacation too, you get really your mind is still on the business when you're on vacation. When we go on
100%.
vacation, we're recording podcast. This is what we do.
I feel like our community will tell us where we should go next. If we listen to it and we see what's going on, we listen to all the feedback. they'll tell us what they want us to do. And that's really who we're here to serve. So that's what we're going to do.
And we love hearing your ideas for flavors.
Yes. Flavors, send them in.
Flavors, send them in.
Yeah. Where are they going to send that to? Where can they find you guys
Find us at Coco Sweet Treats FL on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. Perfect.
All right. We'll put a link in the show notes and all that.
And typically we're really good about responding.
Yeah.
I think now Facebook has that little thing where it tells you, oh, this is your response rate. We're working on being better about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard if you're working during the day. You can't. It's like when you sell something on Facebook and they're like, "You took 2 hours to respond." You're like, "Dude, I was doing. I'm not just staring at the thing." So I can imagine when you have a business, a side business, it's even worse where you have to keep checking.
That's why you got to put like that little disclaimer. Usually responds within 72 hours or something. So you're giving yourself a buffer.
We have a kickback message, and during the holidays, it does go up to like 48 to 72 hours.
That's pretty quick, though.
It
For
is
a small
quick,
business, that's pretty quick.
And I also reach out to all of most of them. I try my very best. I reach out to my repeat customers and whatnot before the holiday season. I tell them what to expect, and I'm like, get your orders in now so that I can make sure that we guarantee them. So I try to be very transparent with everybody that reaches out. But if I don't respond right away, give me a little bit of time. If I don't respond within a couple days, go ahead and nudge me. Like, just no big deal.
Reminder. Hey, a little reminder. I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
Yeah.
We get overwhelmed too.
Yeah, that's right. So December 5th is when you're listening to this today. Tell us where you're going to be within the next couple weeks.
So we are ramping down on events for the rest of December. But if you go to our Facebook page, you should be able to find the order link for all your pre-orders for the holidays, so that you can put them in the stocking stuffers and whatnot. If it's December 5th, we do have a couple of events pending in Apopka and in Orlando. And then we do have the Fresh Market out in Eustis on the 18th.
Fernan Park, is that what they call it? Oh. Fernan
Park.
Farron
Park.
Whatever.
Fernan.
So I'm assuming like people can go to
Farron.
they can go to your Facebook and see the schedule, like where you're going to be.
Yes. So I try to be very, very good about that. And I try to post them all as they get booked. But if you go to the events tab, you can see where we're going to be at any given time.
Awesome.
Very nice. Well, thank you guys. This is awesome. And we can't wait to eat some more of the cotton candy.
Thank you. On the 19th.
Right. I know. We're going to try those holiday flavors are coming out.
Yes.
You're going to try those.
For sure.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening each and every week, for tuning in, seeing what's going on in your community, and checking out the small businesses we have on the show. And remember, we have a Patreon. That's going to be below. Click on it. I'm not going to keep memorizing the website for that.
We don't have to do that anymore. Yeah, we'll just put a link in the show notes for it.
That's so easy. Click on it. And guys, remember, at the end of each and every day, it's all fine and dandy.